did you make of the tone of what the president had to say today about finding some kind of resolution?
Well, it was both the tone and the content. It was very clear to me, at least, that this was not a president who was interested in compromise at this point. This was a president who was setting the stage for the blame game that would inevitably result in the failure to reach some kind of a deal. And I think he was very strident and launched numerous attacks, some of them frivolous, most of them frivolous in my opinion. And he seemed to focus at the end of his remarks on this question about whether Congress should in fact recess. Congress should go home. And he urged Congress to come back and to take their jobs seriously. It's hard to take the president seriously when he makes that kind of an argument. This is a guy who golfed twice last weekend. He's held 29 fundraisers since he announced for his re-election in April. He's going to 2 tomorrow in Philadelphia. This was a president sort of at his demagogic worst, in my view.
Well, you mentioned the idea about them not going on recess. We had Democrats and Republicans in the Senate today talking about this afternoon, this push for them to stay here and not take the 4th of July recess. We also have this juxtaposition between the House and the Senate, because you've got Speaker Boehner over on the House side saying anything that includes tax hikes will not get passed. And then on the Senate side, of course, controlled by Democrats, we have them saying anything that doesn't include a tax increase, or if we want to call it a revenue increase, it's not going to get the votes in the Senate. So, Charles, where do we go?
Well, I still think there's going to be a deal at the end of all this. Maybe I'm hopelessly optimistic, but I also think the stakes are too high for there not to be one. I think what the president was engaged in today was base promotion, base feeding, throwing some red meat to his constituents who expect him to behave this way in the face of Republican resistance. On the substance, I actually think it's more interesting to wonder whether he has a winning line or not. Now, these actual corporate tax breaks he's talking about closing are not that big in the scheme of things, but it's a pretty powerful argument to say, why should we keep a corporate break for corporate jets when we might be cutting this over here? I'm sure he's focus grouped that very thoroughly, and he thinks it's a winner.
Yeah, and you talk about the corporate jet tax break. I mean, the figures that we have are that would only save about $3 billion over 10 years, and we're talking about trillions.
Symbolically, though, I think he feels it's potent. Obviously, he's talking about raising taxes on the rich, et cetera, et cetera. There isn't enough money to close the deficit just by raising taxes on the rich. That's true.
He himself said, as we just heard, you can't reduce the deficit to levels that we need without raising revenues. And then he goes ahead and he talks about the corporate jets, which he mentioned not once but 6 times. Well, I did the math on this. If you collect the corporate jet tax for the next, every year, for the next 5,000 years, you will cover 1 year of the debt that Obama has run up, 1 year. Or to put it another way, if you started collecting that tax at the time of John the Baptist, and you collected it every year, first in shekels and now in dollars, you wouldn't be halfway to covering 1 year of the amount of debt Obama has run up. As for the other one, he mentions again and again the oil depreciation tax break. If you collect that one for 700 years, you won't cover a year of Obama deficits. And then here's my favorite. I worked it out in the car on the way here. If you collect the corporate jets and the oil tax together, get all the bad guys and the fat cats at once, and you collect it for 100 years, it covers the amount of debt Obama added in February.
Okay, I'm glad someone here can do math.
Well, I did it on the back of an envelope.
You're an expert.
But he pretends that he's the serious adult at the table. This is sheer out-and-out demagoguery. He knows it, and he sets it up entirely as a matter of rich and poor. He needs to actually propose serious cuts. He hasn't, and he's the president.
I never thought I'd hear John the Baptist and Shekels in this special report panel, but hey, if anyone's going to work in it, it's Charles.